There is a fierce competition to see what video game will be the first competitive shooter to become a mainstream esport. Right now, the two biggest esports are strategy games, Dota 2 and League of Legends. The battles to see who will win the highly competitive shooter war is between Counter-Strike Go, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege. Other shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield games, while somewhat enjoyable, are not considered competitive shooters, at least in the esports realm. Fortnite and PUBG are in the battle royale genre, which, in my humble opinion, might be more or less a fad. Um, Battle royale games are fun, but they are just an evolution of the DayZ mod. It's a neat idea for 20 to 40 hours, but ultimately shallow. There are smaller titles, but let's focus on the giants in this category. Overwatch usually gets 1 million concurrent players. Counter-Strike Go usually gets 500,000 concurrent players. And Rainbow Six Siege gets about 500,000 concurrent players as well. Overwatch is currently the leader in popularity, and many people regard it as a true esport of the future. First of all, among the big three, I think Counter-Strike will be the first to fall. It is an older game design, while revolutionary a number of years ago. Rainbow Six Siege has matched it and surpassed it in gameplay and graphics. I believe that Ubisoft has made a higher quality product than Valve has here. Counter-Strike is more popular with older PC gamers, while Rainbow Six is winning the younger generation. Many Counter-Strike fans just don't want to move on to a new game because they've spent so many years learning and mastering the aiming style. One key difference between Rainbow Six is that it has a huge yearly plan. They add 8 new operators and 3 maps every year. To be fair, I don't really follow Counter-Strike. I've always been confused because the gameplay has always looked so dated. Statistically speaking, Counter-Strike's population has crescendoed 2 years ago on Steam stats. Rainbow Six's population is growing significantly every year since it's been released. Realistically, long term, the real battle will be between Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege. Overwatch has anime-like art. Rainbow Six has gritty art. Overwatch has many fancy special laser effects graphically. Rainbow Six uses hit scan shooting and attempting to match the look of the real world. The art styles could not be more different. Overwatch has the appeal of fun arcade gameplay. It has the joyful nature of something you would have played as a kid. At the arcade. It's a great game. I'm sure it will have a good sized esports following. The argument I am trying to make, however, is that Rainbow Six is going to surpass it and will become the first true esport to compete with the other sports like basketball, baseball, football, etc. The first reason why I think this will happen is Rainbow Six is slower paced and easier to watch. I do very much understand what is going on in an Overwatch match. Yet at the same time, it is very fast paced, and there are so many special effects that Overwatch is known for. It becomes a Picasso splotch painting of lights and magic. At third person wide pan view, it's slightly more reasonable, but when you flip quickly to the first person's perspective from player to player, I'm just saying from a casual perspective, it makes me a little dizzy. That is because Overwatch is a very fast-paced game. Again, like an arcade game. Conversely, Rainbow Six aims to be more tactical. The slow pace and build-up as the operators break down barriers and methodically clear rooms is something that most viewers just visually understand what's going on better. Overwatch is more graphically demanding, so the frames per second are always lower than Siege's. So they make you Rainbow Six always makes you feel like you're watching a good action movie. If you feel like it feels like you're watching Die Hard or Black Hawk Down. Overwatch feels like you are watching an arcade game. Don't get me wrong, I love arcade games. I still watch more Overwatch. I still want to watch more Overwatch in the future, but do I want to invest my time into mastering a game that will soon be surpassed in popularity by Siege? I don't think so. The second reason Siege will become the first big esport is the combat is extremely tactical. There is no other game that has anything like the operators of Siege. There are no tanks, healers, or DPS. Everyone is a DPS, but the abilities of each character um, are remarkably different. Some lay down traps, some make windows, some track enemies down, some create sonic booms. And Ubisoft, God bless them, is creating 8 of those friggin' operators a year. Overwatch only comes up with 3 heroes a year, and the gameplay variances are through the roof right now with Siege. All the operators have different types of guns, they have different types of gadgets, and they have different abilities. They move at different speeds, and they're different sizes as well. The maps are great too. The maps are part of the game that takes the longest to learn, because to be competitive, you have to memorize the map. Walls are either breakable, semi-breakable, or not breakable. You can tell by looking at it what type of material it is. You can board up all the doors in different ways too. How you fortify your base will partially decide whether you win or lose. The formation your teammates are in is something you need to consider at all times to cover every angle of defense and to siege every angle on attack. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that Overwatch is bigger than Rainbow Six and will probably stay that way for the near-term future. But the rate that Ubisoft is producing content for this game is far surpassing Blizzard's creation of content for Overwatch. Rainbow Six's characters are probably more balanced too. If you are looking to start playing Rainbow Six now, then I do need to warn you of something. There is a very high learning curve. When you first start the game, you won't know what the heck you're doing. But just take your time, absorb it all. There is a point you get to about 100 hours in where the map, the operators, everything just starts to turn into a giant chessboard. You see he is holding that angle, so I have to counter him by doing this. There's different plays you can make that you won't have even considered until you get quite a bit of experience. When you get your first ace, which is when you kill the entire enemy team, it's fantastic. When you actually get good enough to play the ranked mode, well, it's super hard in ranked and at first, but the better you get, eventually you can keep up and even surpass those players. It is a roller coaster of a ride. The highs are super high, the lows are devastating, but every time you die, you learn something new. It's good to die because you will know not to make that mistake again. Your judgment will improve. Granted, lots of games have these moments, but playing Siege feels like you're in a movie, like The Bourne Identity, or James Bond, or Zero Dark 30. No other game has this feel. All I can say is that Rainbow Six Siege is going to be here for a very long time, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.